In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro begins by thanking Congressman Greg Murphy for introducing legislation to end federal funding for medical schools that practice diversity, specifically anti-white admission standards. The bill, called the Educate Act, aims to uphold meritocracy in medical schools and prevent teachings that America is systematically racist. This legislation is seen as necessary for ensuring quality medical care. Shapiro then discusses the news that President Trump is facing a $454 million judgment in a New York court. The judgment, brought by Attorney General Letitia James, accuses Trump of inflating the value of his real estate assets to obtain loans. Trump is required to post a bond to appeal the judgment, but faces challenges in securing the necessary funds. Failure to pay could result in the seizure of his assets, including Trump Tower in New York. Shapiro criticizes the judgment as malicious prosecution and expresses hope that it will be overturned on appeal. Shapiro also addresses the Democrats' efforts to paint Trump as inciting violence if he loses the upcoming election. They reference a campaign ad by Joe Biden that takes Trump's comments out of context to suggest he is predicting a bloodbath if he loses. Shapiro argues that Democrats have been hypocritical in their response to political violence, citing instances of left-wing violence being ignored or even supported. Shapiro then discusses a recent interview where Trump criticized Jews who vote Democrat, citing the party's anti-Israel stance. Trump argues that Jews voting Democrat either do not understand or do not care about the party's position on Israel. Shapiro defends Trump's comments, highlighting the stark contrast between the Trump administration's pro-Israel stance and the Democratic Party's alignment with anti-Israel figures like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. He argues that many Jews who vote for Democrats may not be fully aware of the party's anti-Israel policies and overlook the anti-Semitic rhetoric within the party. He suggests that voting for a party that disdains Israel and overlooks anti-Semitism goes against the religious principles of Judaism, which include a connection to Israel. Shapiro criticizes President Biden for his handling of the conflict between Israel and Hamas. He highlights Biden's reluctance to support Israel's military operation in Rafah and his efforts to pressure Israel into not conducting a major ground invasion. Shapiro questions Biden's military strategy recommendations and argues that Israel should have the autonomy to make decisions regarding its own security. Shapiro also delves into the FBI pressuring social media platforms to take down certain posts. He highlights the potential dangers of law enforcement agencies exerting pressure on social media companies to remove content that may be deemed harmful or damaging to certain political narratives. The discussion touches on the implications of such actions for freedom of speech and the role of the government in regulating information dissemination. The conversation shifts to the issue of censorship and free speech, with a focus on a recent interview between Elon Musk and Don Lemon. Musk expresses his views on moderation and censorship, emphasizing the importance of treating people as individuals rather than focusing on race or gender. He argues against censorship and highlights the negative consequences of stifling free speech in the name of social justice or diversity initiatives. The discussion underscores the need to uphold the principles of free speech while also promoting respectful dialogue and diverse perspectives. Congressman Greg Murphy joins the conversation to discuss his legislation aimed at banning race-based mandates in medical schools. He addresses the challenges posed by diversity initiatives in medical education, including discriminatory admissions practices and the prioritization of social justice over medical training. Murphy emphasizes the importance of maintaining merit-based standards in medical education and ensuring that students are selected based on their qualifications rather than their race or background. The discussion sheds light on the potential impact of diversity mandates on the quality of healthcare and the integrity of medical education.